And it's 6 o'clock. And come to order the Toltec School District number 22, Governing Board meeting of June 20, 2020. We are going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Bill, could you start us out on that Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As an adult and a treasure hunter, I am committed to search for all the talents, skills, and intelligence that exist in all children and youth. I believe all children are capable of success, no exceptions.
Thank you, Chair. Roberts, could you give us a roll call?
Mark Lindgren.
Here.
Steve Portright.
Here.
Tim Payson.
Here.
Bill Doherty.
Here.
All present.
Okay. I'd like to see if I could have someone make a motion for approval of the agenda.
I move to approve the agenda as presented.
All right. Mr. Downey has made a motion.
I'll second.
It has been seconded by Mr. Courtwright. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All against? Motion passes. And then we move on to number 2, consent agenda items, approval of the action consent items. May I have a motion?
I move to approve the action consent items as presented.
Very good. Mr. Casey has made a motion. Do I have a second?
I second.
All right. All right.
Slowly.
Slowly. Okay. Mr. Downey has made a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All against? Motion passed. Let's move on to 3 information discussion items and superintendent summary.
Well, first, before I get started, I just want to thank everybody publicly for all the prayers that have gone up on behalf of our family since the tragic boating accident on the lake with our daughter and family, and everybody's alive. We're thankful, and I want to thank everyone publicly for all their prayers. It's been a very stressful weekend, just returning from the hospital today, actually, in Tucson. So thank you. I want to welcome to Toltec District Angel Williams, which is our district office receptionist. And Angel, you give a little wave. And also Rick Ellis, who is the newly approved Arizona City Elementary Vice Principal. Q4 perfect attendance. We have 31 employees who earned perfect attendance for the Q3. Richard Amos, you've been here at the board meeting tonight, and Teresa Amos, and Todd Bethay, Dory Bosley, Maribel Bona, Mondo Cardenas, Rainy Cardenas, Julie Coda, Tony Dean, Marion Bliss, Joseph Calicio, Angelica Enseñas, Angela Enseñas, Melissa Farr, Adam Garza, Daniel Vidal, Troy Jones, Maria Sala, Juarez, Phyllis Lackey, Daniel Lambert, Denise Lara, Charlotte Vassell, Elaine Mathias, Elvira Navarri, Denise Pierce, Rachel Pierce, Gwendolyn Platt, David Richard, Gregory Ryder, Heather Rom, Sophia Trevino, and Rachel Yant. So this is quite an accomplishment. We're grateful for the perfect attendance. Summer tutoring classes for students, we had an average attendance of 58. And Penny Haynes continued to serve as a director. And I asked her to write an update, and that is an attachment to this agenda item. Staffing included 12 teachers and 7 paraprofessionals. I want to thank Director Haynes and staff. And we also appreciate Mr. Lindgren's daughter, Katie, can we give a wave, for volunteering again this summer to assist with a plethora of tasks. Thank you, Katie. And our district forum project. Narda Ferguson is our district forum project manager. She has a team of 24 employees who have been hard at work to redo the flooring in Arizona City Elementary School within a short time frame. Mrs. Ferguson, would you give us an update?
Yes, ma'am. As of this afternoon, they were patching the last wing. The 400 wing is finished. We are also painting. Thank you very much for allowing us to paint. We're painting the rooms that needed it so desperately. So we have finished with the 400 wing. We have finished with the 300 wing and some of the painting, and then the 200 wing is finished. And then we have the 100 wing that we're gonna work on this week. By Thursday, we should have the clear coat, which is the last coat, and it should be finished. By Monday, we start moving all the furniture back in. Spencer and his crew, and then another group, which is Stephanie and her crew, have learned that Jason and Spencer have taught Stephanie and her couple of ladies that how to do the baseboard, and so we'll be working on that next week and getting all the furniture back in. So we should be finished by July 1st.
So I've been wanting the nasty carpet to be gone for years since I was a teacher at the district. So it's so good to be able to just take a deep breath and a deep, clean breath. Thank you, Mrs. Ferguson.
You're welcome.
A lot of hard work. And it's pretty amazing that they have done all of TS, district office, now ACES in 1 year's time. So great job. And that's not working every day of the year. Little snippets here and there. Upcoming calendar Wednesday, July 6th is the first day for new teachers. That's coming up right away. Wednesday, July 13th, first day for continuing teachers. July 20th, Wednesday, July 20th is first day for 10-month classified staff. And July 20th, Wednesday, July 20th is also the Welcome Back district-wide orientation and breakfast. And Monday, July 25th is the first day for students. There's another attachment to this summary, which is the Arizona Auditor General's report, which is criminal indictment, fraudulent schemes, conflict of interest, misuse of public monies, and theft. On May 25th, 2022, a financial investigator report, which is what is attached, was publicized as a result of financial misconduct from January 1st, 2013 through December 31st, 2016. Former employees, Superintendent Jeff Van Handel and Director of Business Services Irene Crumbaker are being charged with multiple felonies, which both have pleaded not guilty. Toltec School District is being supported by the State Office of Victim Services.
And we now move on to information discussion items B, finance report. Take it away.
So page 1 of the attachment is the budget summary of expenditures from July 1st, 2021 through May 31st, 2022. Total monthly expenditures for May 2022 were $632,630.35. As of now, we have a positive carryover balance in both M&O and capital. We are monitoring spending very closely to ensure we maintain a positive balance. Pages 2 and 3 of the attachment are the ADE reports. There's a slight difference in ADE's calculation versus the district's calculations. These differences are due to rounding issues on the budget forms and state reports, as well as final ADM calculations for fiscal year 2022. These differences are expected and will be adjusted on the fiscal year 23 budget forms accordingly. You guys have any questions?
I was just looking at it, I had it upside down. Okay, I'm good, because I know everything's gonna be adjusted, so as it is right now.
Thank you.
Then move on to C, the 21 district spending analysis.
These are reports that are forthcoming from the Auditor General's office as well. This is a report on the fiscal year 2021. I've included two attachments. One is specific to our district and the other is in regards to the state of Arizona. I created these graphs or these to try to make it easy to see at a glance. We are making quite a bit of improvements over the span of a 5-year trend. We've gone up 7.9% in classroom spending, 9.2% in instruction, 1.1% student support, 2.4% in instruction support.
Right.
And well, we're using teachers, paying them stipends to train teachers instead of having someone on staff to work with the teachers.
And that's a negative 2.4%. In the 5-year trend.
In a 5-year trend.
Okay, great.
Okay. And then in non-classroom spending, we're down 7.9%, down 5.3% in the area of administration, down 0.5% in plan operations, down 2.2% in food service, and down 0.1% in transportation. So we are moving in the correct, we're on the right pathway. In the Arizona school districts, you'll see that classroom spending is on the uprise as well, and non-classroom spending on the downward trend, except for administration, as an average across the state. And this is just a snippet, just a look at how they interpret our finances and how we're doing. If you look at the percentages, we're kind of right there, pretty close to what's normal for the state of Arizona.
Yeah, it's close.
Very close.
Any questions, comments?
Comment, I think it's great that with all that's been going on with the pandemic and turnover and everything else, that this has been able to go, as you say, in the right direction. I think it's great. Good job.
Thank you.
And it is a task of a lot of people putting it together, so I have to thank a lot of people for that. Anything else before we move on?
Just, do you think some of our downward spend was from the pandemic, from COVID and that? Did that have an effect on some of that?
Well, the downward for, if you take it specifically for administration, we don't, since I've been in the district office, we have minimized the amount of administrators that we have. We used to have 3 administrators in this building, now there's just 1. And so that's a good trend there. We don't want to overwork anybody, but I'm seeing double, at least I'm not seeing triple.
Right.
And then
And we're working magic moving the staff.
yes, and then plan operations, that down 0.5% would probably be due, it's 0.4% at the state, but we should have been down with electricity, the general utilities and that sort of thing, which would fall in that category. And then food service, we were down 2.2%. We were still providing some meals, but of course it wasn't as many as would be fed otherwise. And then transportation would be down also for, we weren't on the buses like we were for just for 1 quarter because we came back in session. You know, we were only closed, the governor had called for schools to be closed. So, and then we offered, and we're still offering, you know, both online or in person.
Anything else? All right, we're gonna move on. And we have a call to the public. So in call to the public, I just have a statement to make before I bring anybody up. You know, we welcome any general statement concerning agenda items, and permits the voice request, a staff follow-up in place of a future agenda or discuss an item on the agenda. However, board members are not permitted to engage in dialogue with members of the public who have asked to address the board. Okay, just want to make sure that's clear. So, please be advised the board meetings are not the appropriate place to introduce complaints concerning district employees, curriculum, instructional materials, facilities, or service. Policies KE through KED, the board has established process for acceptance of and review of such complaints by school administration. In the event the solution is not reached by administration, the matter may be referred to the board. The board will not accept comments on the matter until the designated procedures have been followed. In alignment with policy adherence and established procedure for administrative review is mandatory. Now, any person wishing to address the board on any issue within the jurisdiction of the board policy may speak at this time, subject to reasonable time, place, and manner restrictions. At this conclusion of the call, board members may, 1, respond to criticism made by those persons addressing the board, 2, ask staff to review the matter, or 3, ask that the matter be put on a future agenda. Each person will have 3 minutes.
Okay, first is Melissa Duff.
I am a teacher over at Arizona City Elementary School. I'd like to address the recently proposed cut to sick days and personal days, items H and I on tonight's agenda. The entire proposal is based off an audit that is still in the drafting stages and has not been finalized or published yet. This will take away at least 6 days from each personnel. Let's talk facts and why it's upsetting for many staff members. Staff members who are unable to attend due to vacationing are able to get the time off work. Toltec School District already pays several $1,000s less than nearby district. Casa Grande, with their 301, starting pays $4,391. Tucson, with their 301, is $44,900, whereas Toltec is at $38,400, and for emergency, $32,000. However, salary is not the only factor to consider. There's also benefits and paid time off, sick and personal leave. The proposal is taking at least 6 days, which will cost roughly $600, about $100 each day for each personnel. We are only given a $500 each raise each year. That is about a 1 to 1.5%. Typically, inflation is 3%, and this year it was 8%, which means this proposal is asking us to accept a much lower salary and benefit rates than previous years. The issues of the absence were brought up during our 301 committee that we met with. It was adjusted. We decided to adjust the quarterly bonus, and it has not been tested yet, as it will start next month when we return. And this part of the 301 is based off $2,000 of the pay. The issue with leave being used responsibly, we already have guidelines to follow. Personal leave cannot be used within the first 2 or the last 2 weeks of school. Sick leave, if we're gone for 3 or more days in a row, we have to provide a doctor's note. To prove that we are not abusing it, are we supposed to invalidate our HIPAA? That would seem unethical. This policy is to affect personnel who are working with children. Children who many times come to school sick, so we do our due diligence and send them to the nurse. The nurse then does her due diligence and calls home. Parents say they can't pick them up. So then she sends them back to our room. So if we do have our days reduced, well, we now file this under workers' compensation. If the child is sent back and we are sick within a week of the child being sent back to our room, while we be covered by workers' compensation and not our sick time off. Furthermore, this matter was brought up on a Friday through email over our summer break. We are not required to check emails at this time. And it's being voted on the observation of the federal holiday, Juneteenth. There were no business days in between for us to follow due process on this matter. The staff who stays wants to help and be loyal to this school. We like working here, we want to stay working here, but it makes it difficult when it seems like we're just getting cut from all ends. Thank you for letting me discuss this matter.
Yeah, we will be discussing this later, so obviously stay here and you want to hear it. The board will talk about it, and we'll be able to hear and understand.
Right. Good evening, board members and Superintendent Rogers. If you don't know who I am, I'm Gregory Ryder. I was a teacher over at Arizona City Elementary, where I was a 7th and 8th grade social studies teacher there. I have spent 6 years with this district, and in those 6 years, something that Ms. Rogers has intended is perfect attendance. 6 years of this district, never took a sick day. But unfortunately, I have to talk about an action item that is on your agenda, which would be action item L, which will be my resignation from the district. Just want to clear some things up since I was not able to put them in my resignation letter at the time. First thing is we have that increase in medical. I know medical goes up every year, but I was not able to see how much it went up. But something I was able to see that went up is housing. If I were to sign my lease again with where I'm currently living, my lease would have gone from $870 a month to $1130 a month. It was a 1-bedroom, 1-bath apartment. That is a 30% increase in housing. I already work a part-time job on top of that to make my budget needed. I cannot work any more time for my part-time job to then be efficient at teaching the students here at the Toltec School District. And one thing I wanted to clarify too, and this is the way I took it, so this is not a jab on anyone. I turned in my resignation letter on May 16th, but I did fully serve out the remainder of my contract for that school year. So my last day of work was May 26th. And one thing I'm asking for is a release from my contract for the next school year, being that I am resigning during the summertime. I believe that at the time I turned in my resignation letter, that I have given Ms. Huffman reasonable time to post and find someone to replace my position. Other than that, I thank you all for giving me this time to serve 6 years with the school district.
Thank you.
Alexandra.
Hello, good evening. My name is Alexandra Enamorado. I'm a former employee for Toltec School District. I'm here today to request an appointment with the board members to talk about situations I went through with Superintendent Ms. Denise Rogers for unfair treatment, harassment, bullying, and wrongful termination. I would like to share more information with details with the board members in private, as I would not like to mention them here in front of everybody. I've been trying to reach the board members since the end of March, beginning of April, and have not been successful. I've been trying to reach them through email, voicemail, text messages, and even social media to try to get a hold of anyone available. But again, like I said, with no success. The only board member who got back at me after I reached him multiple times was Mr. Bill Doltry. Sorry, I can't pronounce it. with no updates of getting a hold of any of the members. He stated that he would try to do that since he was new to the board and he had no contact information. Yet I still felt as if there were empty promises, even when he attended the last board meeting mid-April. If I'm not able to get the appointment with the board members, I am not sure if it has to be with one board member at a time or all of them at the same time. Since I don't know the procedure, I will proceed to file civil lawsuit against Toltec School District for wrongful termination and retaliation. Thank you.
The call to the public is over. We're moving on to the action items. And we're going to go on to action item A, proposed budget. Approval fiscal year of 2023 proposed budget as presented. So let's see if we can move on. Get this work.
Okay, so Ms. Veronica Price could not be here tonight, so she sent me an email on her behalf and asked that I read it to you guys with the information that you guys are looking for with this the proposed budget. Her email reads, "Hello everyone, I apologize for not being able to be here in person tonight, but I am currently in quarantine as I tested positive for COVID earlier last week. I have asked somebody to read this in hopes that it will clarify any questions you may have about the fiscal year 23 proposed expenditure budget. First and foremost, please keep in mind that this proposed budget was built with preliminary budget forms. The Auditor General's office has decided to only let the released preliminary forms reflect what is currently in statute. That being said, the expected increase to the base level amount per weighted ADM, and transportation support level are not factored into the fiscal year 23 budget. Once the official forms have been released, we will be expected to submit a revision accordingly. Compared to the most recent revised fiscal year 22 expenditure budget from last month, the following are key differences in the fiscal year 23 budget being proposed tonight. Increase to the M&O budget by about $162,605. Factors include decrease in revenue control limit by $6,967. Increase in budget balance carry forward by positive $170,003. Decrease in Prop 123 funding by negative $431. Overall, the amount of the unspent M&O budget this year is the cause for the increase. Decrease to the capital budget by about $8,701. Factors include decrease in budget carry forward by $62,819. Decrease in interest by negative $3,062. Increase in district additional assistance funding by $57,180. Together, the increase in the amount of the unspent capital budget this year compared to last year and the increase to the district additional assistance funding this year created the decrease. Once again, I apologize for not being able to be here in person to answer your questions. We have a few weeks before the budget is adopted, so please feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions that are not addressed tonight. Thank you, Veronica Price.
Thank you very much.
Basically, the legislation is not sent down everything, these budget decisions in a timely manner. So this is moving everything forward, and then there will have to be some revisions as decisions are made at the level of the state level. We're always waiting for this.
Don't do that every year.
Every year.
See, but we always try to get everything across what we can at that period of time that we can right now. So the information we have at this point is what's been presented, and all I can do is ask that we approve the fiscal year 2023 proposed budget as presented. So anyone wants to make a motion as such? A motion, we approve the fiscal year 2023 proposed budget as presented. All right, Mr. Casey has made a motion, do I get a second?
I'll second.
All right. Mr. Courtwright has made a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All against? Motion passes. Now we move on to the 22-23 County Treasurer Transaction Resolution.
It's just a matter of protocol, procedural matter. This is our district, all of our finances go through the county, so this is just a resolution acknowledging that, but we have to sign it in here.
Which is what we do every year because they're the ones who take care of the financial. So,
They issue the checks, that's what these vouchers are all about.
yeah. People with the right to checks.
Yes,
Well, I know that. Write the checks.
well, awesome.
So anyway, does anybody want to make a motion?
I move that we accept the resolution.
For the 22-23 fiscal year, to say financial transaction review process by the treasurer. Anyone wish to make a second? Second. No, Mr. Casey has made a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All against? Motion passes. Now we move on to C, 22-23, the trust insurance coverage proposal.
We use the trust for our liability coverage, and this is our coverage acceptance form, and proposal acceptance form.
Anyone wish to make a motion for the approval of the 2022-23 coverage and proposal acceptance form?
I move that we accept the trust coverage and proposal.
All right. We have a motion by Mr. Courtwright. Do we have a second? Second. Mr. Casey has made a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All against? Now we move on to 2023 sole source vendors.
Deputies, would you like to speak to this one?
So attached is a list of sole source vendors who meet or exceed the quote/bid threshold for Arizona procurement is attached. Due to the nature of their services, it is nearly impossible to find an alternate source. Each of these vendors are determined to be vital to the function of the district.
All right, and I'm looking at this and obviously it's the same.
Yes, pretty much. It's usually the utilities and a few others that are in there that we use.
Right, the
Yeah.
power school students. And
Yeah.
Technologies. Evo Center. Southwest Gas, okay, yeah, so. All pretty much the same thing as usual. It's what we sign every month. And so, if anybody wishes to make a motion,
I move we approve the list of sole source vendors for 2022, 2023 as presented.
we have a motion by Mr. Dowry. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Courtwright has made a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All against? Motion passes. Move on to E, the stipend pay schedule revision.
Our stipend pay schedule was approved during the March board meeting. So page 1 is the revised schedule. Page 2 for your reference is the former schedule. The revised schedule is better organized, easier to reference, and includes all stipends. To accommodate staff to student ratio more appropriately, additional staffing has been added for ACES in the area of student council and yearbook advisors. The stipend amount for student council advisors was raised from $250 a quarter to $400 a quarter. There are many requirements for these advisors, and Ms. Angel Williams will be meeting with the advisors and giving them all the protocols and procedures that they're held accountable to. So there's quite a bit involved there. A stipend for the district testing coordinator was added. This is in regards to managing the state testing requirements district-wide. And perfect attendance stipends have been paid out quarterly, so the certified stipend was modified to reflect quarterly payments. And those are the only changes here on this revised stipend schedule.
All right, any questions? Straightforward. Anyone wish to make a motion?
I move to approve the revised 22-23 stipend pay schedule.
Mr. Cason has made a motion. Do I get a second?
I said,
Mr. Downey has made a second. All in favor, say aye. All against? Now move on to the 22-23 301 performance pay plan.
I serve as the committee chair, and the committee members for this year's 301 performance pay committee was Wesley Ashby, Dora Bosley, Maribel Valena, Alyssa Dowdle, Sabrina Garcia, Nicole Hall, Stacy Heaton, Ginger Mayo, Crystal Peterson, Karen Kroc, Emily Rubio, Tamara Sider, and Jana Weaver. All teachers were afforded the opportunity to vote, which is also your second attachment on the proposed plan. 43 total teachers participated in the vote, 41 yes, 2 no.
Any questions? Seems straightforward. So then, if there are no questions, I'll ask for a motion.
I move that we accept the 2022-2023 301 performance pay plan.
For the teachers as presented. Yes, Mr. Courtwright has made a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Cason. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All against? Motion passes. All right. Now we move on to the wireless projector.
The purchase of new wireless ceiling mounted projectors for a total of $151,074.60 will be paid with funding from grants and a reimbursement to the district of $71,000 for participating in the Emergency Connectivity Fund. Our projector inventory is aging and inconsistent with frequent use issues. KG can speak to that, huh? The new systems will provide a consistent and reliable classroom experience with additional benefits over the current implementation. Additional benefits include current reliable technology to assure accessibility and minimize classroom downtime, wireless connectivity to allow teachers freedom of movement and connectivity to their tablets within the classroom. New projectors will enhance readability with brighter imaging. Projectors will be mounted on the ceiling, freeing up floor space and removing cabling from the area. Carts will no longer be needed, and a 5-year warranty ensures we will have working systems for the next 5 years at least. Our newest projectors were purchased in 2016. Others, and this wasn't a complete purchase, just some. Others in use were purchased when Cambridge Charter School came into being, and that was in 2013. So if you enter some of our classrooms, you see cables going across the classroom and tape over them. It is a trip hazard, and we've needed this, and it's just to get us a little bit better up to date. We also need a projector in this office as well, but we'll get there eventually. But this is for all of the classrooms, wireless projectors.
And that is from the.
All classrooms, yes.
All classrooms.
Yes, all classrooms, no one's left out. And that's another thing we looked at, that was looked at, and I bounced it back to the principals, but was with the money, with the refunds that we had and from this participation, the connectivity fund and such, we're looking at that, and some of the options of some updates was gonna mean that not all classrooms would be attended to. How do you choose
Right.
which classrooms get some updates? And so this is for all classrooms district-wide.
And this is due to grants.
Yes, yes, it will not come out of M&O.
So since it's
What we call a win-win, isn't it?
Some money in Title I grants and then the technology refund.
very good, that sounds excellent. Much better, much better. Okay, would anyone wish to approve the purchase of the wireless projectors as presented? Make a motion.
I move to approve the purchase of the wireless projectors as presented.
Okay, Mr. Case has made a motion, do I have a second?
I second.
All right. Mr. Dowder has made a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All against? Motion passed. Now we move on to H. The GCCA Professional Support Staff Sick Leave Policy Review.
There's two policies attached. One is the original policy, the other is the revisions. This policy has been revised to reflect a sick leave rate of 1 day per month. The policy had been 1.5 days in one place and then 1 day in another place. So when this came to our attention, when the audit was being done, the 5 that they pulled, they were getting more days than what the policy showed that should be given. So this was to fix the policy. If you'll notice, I have highlighted in green, there's one word that's changed throughout the policy, except for the adopted date. And it's highlighted in green. That second paragraph where it says each staff member shall be credited with a sick leave allowance at the rate of 1 day per month. That's been changed. It did say 1.5, that's been changed to 1. In that particular sentence, it appears, as if everyone was getting 1.5 days. You read the next part of the sentence, per month up to 10 or 12 days determined by the number of months employed. So it was 12 days, up to 12 days for those that are on a 12-month contract and up to 10 days for those who are on a 10-day contract. So this is the way our policy is read, but it was just needed to be revised to be read to where it wasn't easy to be misinterpreted.
So in other words, what it was, it actually already was 1 day per month.
Yes.
It wasn't 1.5.
No, it's 1 day up to, if you work 10 months, it's up to 10 days. If you work 12 months, it's up to 12 days. That's what the policy has been.
Yeah, which is,
This is just fixing it so that it's matching what it already says. It's one word that's changed, but there is no change in sick leave. It remains the same.
Anybody else have questions?
Well, I know there's some concerns. We've heard some concerns. I'm a little confused on it myself.
Okay,
Was there
It is
just like an
confusing.
error in the wording on the policy? Is
yes,
that all it was?
yes.
So nothing's changed in their accrual?
It's just aligning it because at the one sentence it said, each staff member shall be credited with a sick leave allowance at the rate of 1.5 days per month, up to 10 or 12 days, determined by the number of months employed. And so even though it was saying 1.5 days a month, they would only accrue 1 day a month, up to 10 days if they were a 10-month employee. If they were 12-month, they could accrue up to 12 days. So it was actually 1 day a month if you look at that. This is just putting our policy, correcting it to read what was actually being done.
So it's just a misstatement.
There's one word changed, and that's the 1.5 to 1. That way, it just, the wording aligns throughout the policy the way it should have been.
So under this, you see where it shows.
Trying to dare to,
There.
you mentioned the highlighted green, and I finally got there.
They're gonna say, did you find it? I haven't found it. So it appeared that, like, say, for the first 2 months, this was done monthly. If they thought it was 1.5, by February, they had 3 days, right? But
Well,
the
our
reality-
contracts start on July 1st for 12-month employees. And then it starts at different, like I had mentioned, what days people were returning. So their start days could be different, but it would be for the, so our teachers, well, all staff returns for the month of July, returns in the month of July.
For the period, of whatever 2 months they worked, the first 2 months, you have 1.5 a month, we were expected to have 3 days. But in reality, it turned to 2 days, is that
Well,
correct?
if that's the way it was being accumulated, then there would come a stopping point
Right.
where you can only get up to 10.
Right.
So it's,
For most,
but we needed to make it.
So even if it was 1.5, they could only go to 10 days max.
Yes, and as
Or
myself,
12,
I'm a 12-month employee. So if it's 1.5 a month, I can only go up to 12 days at the
Right.
contracted year.
but did you have, was the situation where if they, the second month they accumulated 3, they could take 3, if they needed to, or now they would only be able to take 2?
Yes, but there's different contracts with different stipulations for leave. That might be, but most of that pertains to vacation leave. So, for sick days, yes, we do a lot with our sick that I changed. I came in as superintendent. One was letting us donate days to people who have ran out of days. You have to run out of all leave before that can happen. The other is payback and that I didn't bring in. That's been with the district. I didn't take it away either. That does cost us, but I send out a reminder email just as a courtesy to let them know that part of this policy to where you can sell back some days. We pay for $30 a day for buyback for sick leave. So if I would, to answer your question, I guess, if I was a brand new employee and it just started and I only had 1 day in a month and I, I ended up needing time, I would have to read the policy, actually. The policy explains,
At the 1.5, they would have more of that available early in 10 months or 12 months. Right.
yeah, that would be the advantage. And then, but it does just accumulate to a certain number. It makes it more difficult to keep track of it in our system. So if we do it by 1 day a month, and it just keeps, that is easier within the system that we use that Andrea keeps track of time.
Is that one of the concerns that?
With the audit.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
with the teachers in that, yeah, I get 10 days, but at the 1.5, I can quicker. And now if I have to take a 3-day absence, I have to wait till March to take it, as opposed to.
I did not hear that concern.
Any more discussion? As I look at it, it's just, we're just aligning everything the way it is. We're not trying to take anything away from anyone. As long as it stays the same as it was before. And I do know that people can give time for sick leave and stuff like that. People that, if there's a person with the need, it is there and it is available. And so I must ask if someone would make a,
Sorry, I need to clarify. I have my stipend, I've only been here 1 year. I've accumulated 15 days. That's consistent with getting 1.5, so that means that what I've been accumulating this year is not what's accurate then. My pay stub's
I'm sorry, you can't address the board at this time, but speaking to that, that is one of the problems in keeping the accumulation the way it should be. Everyone that's auto checked was over, but our policy says that this is what it is. And so we have to, go by our policy. So, but the 5 that they checked were given more time than what our policy says. But this is our policy. We looked at the policy and the auditors are wanting an explanation. So this needed to be aligned. And then Andrea will have to align everything else on her.
So from what I'm hearing, some people were accruing more time than.
So the 5 that they, randomly looked at, all 5 employees, I don't know what 5, I don't know, whether all 5 have received more days than what our policy states that they should be receiving. Yes, that was the audit finding.
Is this audit finding a mandatory application then? In other words, because they found it, we need to change to it?
Well, we try to be proactive, and if something comes to our attention, this is the next agenda item, we fix it. That's the way I operate. But if it's found in an audit, you're gonna keep getting that audit hit until you fix it.
So that if somebody has over the amount, are they just losing that time at this point?
No, I am not going to go back and take days away. We will not do that. That's not, it's not their fault. It's a mistake made at this level. It's a mistake. We just move on from there.
So how did they get to 5 days over? Were they accruing 1.5 or?
Miss Andrea would have to be here to answer how she made that mistake in the systems. It's my job to fix policy, then it's her job to align it in the system. I'm not sure what she did. I can't answer that. I'm not sure how she made that mistake. I didn't realize that our policy had that discrepancy in it. And that's what this is coming for you tonight. It's not changing anything according to what policy is, but just fixing it to where it reads in uniform instead of being off.
all right, does everybody understand? Are there any more questions?
Could we table this?
Yeah.
Their emergency or pass it? Because I want to, because there are some concerns on it. I'd like to know how that mistake was made.
Okay. So you don't wanna pass the policy, or you want some, this is why it's brought to you tonight. It's brought to you tonight
Just
because
to switch,
next week,
we'll fix the policy is what we're concentrating on.
that's what this agenda item is. But what happens is before July 1st, everything has to be set up in the system. So that's why you're being in office, to fix the policy. If you're requesting an agenda item on the audit, I didn't know when we get the final draft. When I got back from the hospital, somebody said we got the final version today. So that will be on the next, board agenda. So I could ask for Mrs. Jones to be here to expound on that audit.
I'm not sure if, I have 1 day cumulative and I take 2 sick days. I'm not paid for the second one, correct? Yeah, I can't borrow forward, is that right?
If you have been an employee here and you meet the criteria for, you would contact Mrs. Jones and myself and say, I'm out of sick time. And I would say you have permission to ask for a donation. And then you send out, you can't coerce anything, you send out, say, if anyone would like to donate sick leave for me, and then the sick leave time is donated from others.
But I can't borrow forward. I guess I'm thinking
As
about
in
the
the-
various different companies I've worked at and how they've done it,
Yeah,
what's worked
in
very
school
well.
districts, the state never allows us to backtrack or go forward, you know what I mean? We can't, I can't, let's say that you worked a day more than you should have worked a year or 2 ago, I can't do anything about that. I can't backtrack and pay you for something. I can't pay you for tomorrow what you're doing. You see what I'm saying? We have to, it's called a misuse of public funds, if I'm making any sense. We have to keep on track with,
Well, no, that was
so I
Point of my
couldn't
question
borrow
was,
from
you
tomorrow.
can't borrow, okay?
Can't borrow from tomorrow.
You can request somebody to,
Yes.
give you some, but you can't borrow from them in the future.
So there's not a black market in the back room, people selling days.
Right.
If there is, I don't know that.
Could happen.
Let's hope not. I'll tell you a few days, oh goodness. And that's so complicated too, and that's why I think the former district administration wasn't for it, because a day doesn't equal a day. Depends on your pay, depends on your rate, you know. So for instance, if a custodian was to loan a day to me, it would not be a day. It would be a partial day. If I was to donate to the custodian, it would be more than a day.
So we hired a computer program.
It's quite complicated.
That sounds
Thank you for clarifying the issues. It's a topic that I've had a lot to do with because of, as a contractor and employed in a lot of different companies. Yet, I don't think I've seen one yet that made everybody happy. Yet just, you have to figure out what works best for the most people and reflects the needs of the system. And there's always going to be a question here or there about it. I'm glad we had to have a little bit more discussion.
We could definitely, I could definitely ask Mrs. Jones to be here next month when we have the audit report, so that you can ask her about the audit.
Can I move that we do what she just said?
Well, you can request that an item be put on the agenda and it's done, so. Mrs. Ferguson, remind me.
Yes, ma'am.
So we've discussed this.
Can I just ask one more thing?
Go right ahead.
Now, when teachers getting hired, when are they told how many sick days they're gonna have? Is it in their contract?
It's
Just
not,
in this policy, or how do they?
it's not in their contract, but Mrs. Jones sits down with each of them. She gives them a calendar, what their days off are going to be, and then just discusses
Go
it all.
over
Yes.
So they're told they have 10 days approval for a year?
That's
Or
another
is it-
question you can ask her, how
Okay.
she describes it.
I'm sorry, I'm
Sure.
just trying to
But
get
no,
a grasp. If someone has a
it's a
concern,
good
I
question.
want to,
Absolutely.
make sure we take care of it.
But I can't answer it, but we can get it answered for you.
I know.
But if I was the one doing it, I could answer that,
Yeah.
but I'm not sitting, I'm not sure what that
I don't know, I just,
competition looks like, but that's a good question.
well, right now, we're just cleaning up the policy things.
At the moment, we're cleaning up the policy. If there's any more information to be brought about, sick leave policies, sick leave policy, not, this is just a revision. We're not what it says. So at this moment in juncture, it can be brought up in future discussions if we wish to. But at this moment, we're just going to fix that. And then whatever we should discuss at a later time, we can go ahead and discuss it then. But this time, it's just a revision. And at this time, I will, if, any other questions, really, because I don't want to stop anybody or step on anybody's toes, because I know it's an important subject that everybody understand.
We're on the document, under the heading accrual. Not sure. It's three. Where did that, text come from? Is that, or from, one of the ARS things, et cetera?
What document is it?
Accrual, under accrual, page 3, accrual A.
I'm sorry, I'm not seeing where you are.
Okay,
In the policy,
yeah,
GCCA? Okay,
yep. Specifically, if the accrual, if the second half of that paragraph under accrual A states that employees shall not be entitled to accrue or use more than 40 hours of earned paid sick time per year unless the employer selects a higher limit. And our selecting a higher limit, i.e. 10 days or 12 days. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, I'm having trouble finding it here. What is the heading?
Accrual, in bold.
Okay, I'm on the page, it's on page 3.
I think so.
It says ABCD
Yep.
there, okay. So I'm there.
I read that
Employees
first.
of an employer with 15, are you on A? Okay. Employees of an employer with 15. Well, before I even read it, let me let you know, our policies come down to us from ASBA that are aligned with the law. Employees of an employer with, so we don't just dream them up. Okay. Or more employees shall accrue a minimum of 1 hour of earned paid sick. Yes, that's the law.
Okay.
That if you work 30 hours, you're gonna get an hour of,
And then the second half there.
that you're gonna get a minimum of an hour of, sick leave. But employees shall not be entitled to accrue or use more than 40 hours of earned paid sick leave per year unless the employer selects a higher limit.
That covers for, that's a base minimum, right? And
Yes,
why
that's,
we- right, and it says the employer selects a higher limit. We have selected that by, letting them accrue 10 or 12 days.
yes.
Okay. Good. Okay.
Sorry, I had trouble finding where you
Yeah, that's okay.
It's several pages long, it's a
I
big.
still haven't found the green part, so.
Oh, it's on page 1, the second attachment, or the first,
Okay.
it's the second attachment,
Okay.
for that one, it says revision. It's on the first page. I have had, complaints come forward to me from administration that other staff have complained about excessive absenteeism, so. But, we don't go around, if an employee says they're sick, we don't go around knocking on the door to check on and see if they're really sick. We don't do that. And if you look at sick leave, it's pretty large definition. So, if you look at the state statute, which is the law, so that's on the second page, ARS 23-371, it defines what a family member is. So there is A through E describing, you know, how you can use family members, sick leave for family members. So, and like it was brought up tonight, if it's 3 days, then a doctor's note, because absences do interfere with the educational system, you know, so. And someone who's out for 3 days, it's easy to get an excuse from the doctor. We could obviously have a need to be out.
And we do reward them for not taking sick days.
We do. Yes. But we don't want them coming sick either. So we do understand using it. That's what it's there. It's there to use it, you know, so.
All right, we have completed the discussion. We're just trying to get this as an alignment and a revision. We wish to revisit it later at some other time, but for now, we need to get this done because we have to have the audit finding fixed. So if anyone wishes to make a motion at this time,
I move that we accept the professional support staff sick leave policy revision.
all right. Mr. Courtwright has made a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Casey has made a second. All for? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All against? Motion passes. Now we move into the GCCB professional staff personnel emergency religious leave policy review.
A few months ago, as I was signing some leave forms, I saw that, you know, signing some personal, we just call it personal leave. We also have other leave policies that include religious leave and things like that. We've always called it personal leave. So it's pertaining to policy GCCB. And I thought, I don't think the policy allows for that. I went back, and the policy is only for professional staff. Professional staff are certificated personnel, which is administrators and teachers. And and this policy was adopted the date of the manual adoption, so it's been forever. And as far as, I question Mrs. Jones, and as far as, geez, everybody gets them and they've always got them. Well, when something comes to my attention, I've got to fix it. This was not an audit hit. I don't want to take personal days away from everybody. So your second attachment is a revision. I've added support, the word support in there so that it covers everybody. But I am proposing that we reduce the number of days to 1. This is non-accumulative leave. It's not deducted from your sick leave. Also, a change in here is that the final approval comes from the superintendent. Another change was, and I never knew this until I was in this office, that the personal leave could go up to 4 days a school year, but it would be taken out of sick leave. The personal leave, it does have a restriction. None of that has changed. You can't use it on the day immediately preceding or following a holiday or vacation. You can't use it for in-service or professional development days. And you can't use it during the first 7 days of school or the last 7 days of school. For this policy, this leave, I feel, from my personal opinion, that it's been abused. It's there for a purpose. But we've always had a problem with staff. I said the school side and then here at the district level. I don't lose those days, so I'm just gonna take them. I have to take them or I'm gonna lose them, those sort of things. We end up having a lot of absences during, you know, the end of the school year just to have those days. Then that's very disruptive to the educational environment. So my proposal is to include all staff by adding support staff and then reducing it to 1 day instead of 2.
Any questions?
Can you give me an example of what your personal?
Personal day, well, when I was a teacher, I had to sign up for classes at ASU to get added to my degree, the music part of my degree. There was only 1 day that ASU would allow you to go and get a parking permit. 1 day, happened to be a work day. So I filled out my paperwork for personal leave. That was the only personal leave I used. I didn't use my personal leave just for circumstances like this, because we have Fridays off too. So, but I couldn't do it on a Friday. I didn't have an option. So I went and took care of that on that day, came back, and then the principal came to me and told me that I was gonna lose a day of pay. And I said, why? They said, because I had used it during the last 7 days of school. And they said, I didn't even have an option. So I was able to notify the superintendent at the time and he gave permission for me to have used that day. So it's always those kind of circumstances too. If there's a problem, you know, can come to the next
Is this
level.
separate from like bereavement leave?
It is separate.
It is.
You get 5 bereavement days a year. We have all kinds of leave. This is just pertaining to personal.
Okay, good, thank you.
And bereavement, you don't have to use your sick leave or your personal day, any of that.
Anything else? Anybody else?
Okay, well, I'm on the green highlights here.
There's a lot in.
Yeah, that's one.
So you're inputting support on the top.
That's the most
Very close,
important
yeah.
change because I don't want to take that leave away from support staff, but right now, if, you know, it only says professional, so I'm adding support so that it matches what we're doing, what's been done for years. And this would be applicable to everybody, from myself all the way down. Well, all of it is.
All right. If there are no more questions, can I get a motion?
I move we approve revised CCB professional staff personal/emergency/religious leave policy.
I have a motion. Mr. Downey, do I have a second?
I'll say,
I have a second. Mr. Courtwright. All in favor, say aye. All against? Motion passed. Moving on. District Director of Finance.
Melody Sites began as interim director of finance on the 13th of December, 2021. She successfully completed a 6-month timeframe in the interim status, and she continues to participate in professional development. She works closely with our finance consultant, and gaining skills and competence, and I recommend her to continue this career pathway and be moved into the position of Director of Finance.
Any questions, or do we all know what that's all about?
Well, we got this one down.
Okay, we got this one down. All right, so if we got this one down, can I have a motion?
Yeah, I motion we approve, is it Damaris?
Damaris.
Damaris Sykes to be promoted from interim status to the District Director of Finance on July 1st, 2022.
Do I have a second?
I second.
All right, Mr. Dowry has a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All against? Motion passed. All right, okay.
This is a Toltec Elementary teacher resignation. Amber Hendricks is an appropriately certified special education teacher. She resigned her position on May 26th. That was her last contracted day for the school year. And Ms. Hendricks was hired July 24th, 2019. So she was contracted to teach for us for 3 years. She has accepted another teaching position and submitted her resignation for personal reasons, stating that she loved the staff, kids, and the entire district. She especially loved working with Ryan and her team, and she hopes that the district would welcome her back.
Is there an issue with the last contracted date was May 26th?
That was her, she worked through her current contract. She had signed it for next year, so she's asking to keep that out
All right.
instead of coming back.
Any questions? Well, everybody knows how I feel, and I think people kind of hate me for the way I feel, but I can't have any. I always go for liquidated damages simply because of how much it hurts the kids and it hurts the school. People don't understand how much the superintendent, people, supporting staff, principals fight and fight to get another teacher to take that person's place. Whether it's at the beginning, whether it's before the school starts or not, you have to spend your time looking and putting out, and oftentimes not getting an answer for anybody, and now you're just down that person. Again, I hate saying it for anybody because I know she was dedicated, just like a lot of the people who leave here. They're extremely dedicated to the school and to the kids. But I can't show favoritism. I will not show favoritism. And it hurts my school. And any damage to my school, any damage to my kids, anything, it makes it harder on my support staff to get a person to replace them. I always go with the liquidated damages, even though I dislike it sometimes. In all fairness, is right to me. No one else has to vote my way. No one has to care about what I think. But as the president of the board, that's the only way I can go. I can't go
I agree with Mark, and I hate making these decisions, but I mean, we need to look out for the district.
Anyone else? Comments? Okay. Well, I guess I'll go this way. Amber Hendricks will have a liquidated damages due to her contract and not following through with it. We collect the amount of liquidated damages of $2,000. I made a motion. Anyone wish to second?
I'll second.
Mr. Case is second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All against? Motion passes. Okay. Next,
Greg Ryder, to address the earlier tonight. Our properly certified social studies teacher resigned his position on May 16, 2022. Mr. Ryder was hired on July 18, 2016. He was contracted to teach for us for 6 years. For those years, he maintained perfect attendance. He respectfully requests to be released from liquidated damage since the 2022-23 school year has not started yet. He states he has learned so much and hopes to continue as a treasure hunter. He is saddened by his resignation and is thankful for the opportunity to serve in this district.
and I have to say that I do know Mr. Ryder and I like him a lot. And because he is somebody that I have learned to enjoy being, he's kind and taught very well. My only thing is I have to revert back to what I just said. Just because I know him and care for him and like him does not mean that I can't do it because of my personal preference. Since I do have a personal preference for Mr. Ryder, and I do care about him, I still cannot, I still have to acknowledge the fact that he must incur the expenses to collect the amount owed and liquidated damages of $2,000. Any questions? I must admit, here, this is, like I said, it's one of the hardest things I have to do. But as president, I have to make the best move for my school. And this is my school and my kids. And I have to take a stand. So I'll make a motion that we collect the 2,000 liquidated damages to Mr. Ryder because he has not fulfilled his contract. Do I get a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Case has made a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All against? Motion passes. And Toltec Elementary School.
Linda Natkin, a properly certified teacher, resigned her position on June 12, 2022. Ms. Natkin began her first contracted teaching year with us on July 18, 2016. She taught 6 years for Toltec Elementary School. She requests a release from her contract due to the rising cost of gasoline. She states it is no longer possible for her to travel 45 miles one way.
It's difficult for all of us. The gas prices are taking us all down.
Yeah.
I have people at work that are driving longer distances than that. But that still doesn't make up for the fact it's very difficult on all the teachers. I know that. But again, she wrote the contract and I can't let that stand. And hopefully she has a better life where she's going and a different place that she's working is closer. And, but, again, this is our school district and, she'll have to pay the liquidated damages of $2,000 to the district to collect the amount of liquidated damage of $2,000 for Mrs. Net. I've made a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Dowdy has made a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All against? Motion passed. Move on to closing of the meeting. A, next meeting date.
Monday, July 11th is the second Monday in July.
Oh, yeah. Anybody have any issues with that? Are we looking it all up in our,
Sounds good.
no, I don't think so. I go to work at 2 o'clock in the morning and I'll take it off till 2 in the afternoon. I know I'm gonna do this.
I'm still looking in my mind.
I'm still waiting. We're good.
The gerbils are still running. Looks like I'm free.
All right. It looks like everybody else is in agreement with that one. I certainly think that the 11th would be fine. We'll move on to B. Motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
All right, in which case, we have a motion to adjourn. Who will second?
I'll second.
All right, Mr. Corbett has made a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All against? Motion passed. I want to thank everybody for coming here.